The movie starts with a teenage boy named Ian going to a small convenience store with his father, Vincent. But these two are not normal at all. In fact, they have a very strange way of stealing things. Inside the store, Vincent secretly uses his supernatural powers to make several drink bottles disappear. Since no one can see the bottles anymore, he calmly walks to the counter, but to avoid looking suspicious, he buys only a small pack of gum. After this, Vincent leaves the store and tells Ian to stay near the window for a moment. Ian's job is important because he is the one keeping the illusion active. Everything seems to be going perfectly, but suddenly, a group of college students walks by. One girl notices Ian and starts making fun of him, calling him weird. Because of this distraction, Ian loses focus for just a second, and that one mistake changes everything. The store owner suddenly notices that the drink bottles are gone. At the same time, Vincent is already outside trying to leave in the car. Realizing she has been robbed, the angry woman grabs a hammer and runs outside to stop him. Seeing this, Ian quickly steps in and angrily tells her to stay back. But the woman is not scared at all. Instead, she keeps walking toward him. Feeling trapped, Ian suddenly pulls out what looks like a gun and points it at her. But even then, the woman refuses to stop. Then, Ian pulls the trigger. The woman instantly falls to the ground, screaming in pain as if she has been shot. But here comes the shocking twist. Ian was never holding a real gun. He was only making the shape of a gun with his hand. It turns out Ian has incredibly powerful psychic abilities. He can control what people see and even trick their minds into believing things that are not real. The woman only thought she had been shot, but in reality, she was completely fine. Realizing the situation is getting dangerous, Vincent quickly grabs Ian, and the two escape before things get worse. Just a few minutes later, a police car arrives at the store. The terrified woman keeps screaming that she has been shot. But when the police officer checks her, he looks confused and tells her that she is perfectly okay. The woman cannot understand what just happened. Still scared and angry, she tells the officer to go after the criminals immediately. Just seconds later, Ian and Vincent are speeding through the city streets while a police car follows right behind them. During the escape, Ian gets angry and starts arguing with his father. He is clearly tired of this life and complains about all the small robberies they are forced to do just to survive. To get some distance from the police, Ian suddenly uses his powers again. In a split second, he creates an illusion in the officer's mind, making him believe that their car just turned around a nearby corner. Without even thinking twice, the police officer follows the fake car. Meanwhile, Ian keeps yelling at Vincent. Frustrated, he says that if they are already stealing, then why not rob a bank instead? One big robbery could make them rich for the rest of their lives. But Vincent immediately gets serious. He tells Ian never to say something like that again. Then he reminds him of the only two rules they must always follow. First, never attract attention, and second, never use your powers against your own family. Hearing this only makes Ian even more angry. Fed up with running from the police, he decides to end the chase once and for all. Using his psychic powers, Ian messes with the officer's mind again. Suddenly, the policeman thinks sharp pieces of glass are flying all around him. The officer panics, loses control of the car, and the police vehicle skids across the road before flipping over near a gas station. After a few moments, the officer slowly climbs out of the car, completely shaken. But here comes the strange part. The police car is actually perfectly fine. There is almost no damage at all. Everything the officer saw was only an illusion created by Ian. Watching this weird moment, the gas station worker stands there completely confused, unable to understand what just happened. At the same time, somewhere far away, a mysterious woman is watching security camera footage from different places across the city. The moment she notices what happened, she quickly tells her driver to get her helicopter ready immediately. The next morning, Ian suddenly wakes up from a disturbing nightmare. As he comes outside, he finds his father, Vincent, waiting for him with a plate of fried eggs. Since it is Ian's 18th birthday, Vincent jokingly presents it as his birthday cake. It is then revealed that the two of them live inside an old abandoned ship, far away from other people. Vincent believes staying hidden is the only way to survive. A little later, Vincent tries to cheer Ian up and asks him to spend the day together. He even shows him an old photo of Ian's mother who has passed away, and sadly says how much he misses the days when they were all together as a family. But Ian is clearly not interested. He does not want to stay there anymore and starts getting ready to leave. Worried, Vincent tries to stop him and asks him to stay, but Ian refuses to listen. Realizing he cannot change his son's mind, Vincent decides to at least give him his birthday gift before he leaves. Still angry and frustrated, Ian goes back to his room and starts punching his wooden training dummy to let out his emotions. But no matter what, he has already made up his mind. Wanting to enjoy his birthday on his own, Ian climbs out of his bedroom window and leaves the ship. Meanwhile, the police officer who got tricked by Ian's illusion the day before is sitting with his barista friend and talking about the strange case. He explains that when he tried to get security footage from both the gas station and convenience store, the owners told him that the files had already been taken by other officers, but something about this feels very suspicious. As they talk, one customer sitting nearby quietly listens to the whole conversation. Suddenly, things take a dark turn. The stranger secretly uses some kind of psychic power to attack the officer. Within seconds, the man drops to the floor, dead. Later on, a tactical team arrives at Vincent's boat to raid the place. But surprisingly, Vincent quickly gives himself up without putting up a fight. The team leader even thanks him for confusing the police because it helped them track down someone known as a perceptor, a dangerous mutant with psychic powers. Just then, one of the soldiers walks over and tells the leader that they have finally found Ian. At that same moment, Ian is wandering around an arcade in the city, trying to enjoy his birthday, but danger is already getting closer. The mysterious coffee shop customer from earlier is also there, searching for Ian. And now, it is finally revealed that this man is actually one of the powerful perceptors. When two suspicious men suddenly show up, the undercover mutant quickly attacks. He knocks one of them out and grabs a radio to warn the rest of the squad. Back at headquarters, the squad leader immediately orders all her soldiers to move to Ian's location. Things quickly turn into complete chaos. Using his psychic powers, the Perceptor tricks one of the armed men, causing him to lose control and start shooting at random people. As panic spreads everywhere, the mutant tries to get closer to Ian but suddenly gets captured. At the very same time, two strangers suddenly grab Ian and rush him away from the dangerous scene, trying to stop anyone from taking him. Soon, the captured Perceptor waits for the perfect moment and breaks into a brutal fight with his enemies using his martial arts skills. During the fight, he notices several people walking around wearing virtual reality headsets. Not wanting innocent people to get hurt, he carefully avoids hitting them while fighting. Finally, the mutant manages to free himself from his restraints. Outside the arcade, Ian suddenly comes face to face with the squad leader. She looks serious and tells him one thing. If he wants to stay alive, he needs to come with her right now. At first, Ian does not trust her, but the moment he sees Vincent unconscious inside their vehicle, he completely panics. Worried about his father, Ian gets distracted for just a second, and that is all the woman needs. She quickly places a special restraining helmet on his head, stopping him from using his powers. Now completely trapped, Ian is taken away by the squad. Meanwhile, the Perceptor tries everything to stop them. He even creates fake accident illusions to slow them down, but it is already too late. The vehicle disappears, and he loses them completely. Hours later, Ian wakes up inside a strange laboratory. There, the squad leader finally introduces herself as Adriana. She explains that they are fighting against a dangerous organization called Consciousness. According to Adriana, this group has been secretly controlling the world for many years. She says psychic mutants inside the organization manipulate wars, politics, and even money to benefit themselves. Because of this, Adriana claims that her team is trying to protect what little freedom and democracy is left in the world. She also warns Ian that dangerous people like the Perceptor will stop at nothing to get him back. Completely confused, Ian asks the obvious question: why did they kidnap him? Adriana finally reveals the truth. They want something from his blood. She explains that Ian's blood may contain a formula that could help create psychic powers or even control them, but Ian immediately refuses to help. He clearly does not trust these people. Still, Adriana refuses to give up. She suddenly shows him an old photo of his mother and says that if he cooperates, she can tell him more about her. The moment Ian hears this, he reacts instantly. Using his powers, he attacks Adriana's mind and makes her believe she is peacefully standing on a beach. But before the illusion goes too far, the guards stop him. Angry, Ian makes one thing clear: if they want him to cooperate, then he wants to see Vincent first. Soon after, Ian finally reunites with Vincent. The moment they meet, Vincent desperately warns his son not to believe anything these people are saying, but Adriana quickly steps in. She tells Ian that if he really wants answers, he should use his mind-reading powers on Vincent himself. According to her, Vincent has been hiding secrets from him for years. Hearing this, Vincent becomes desperate and begs Ian not to listen, but Ian's curiosity becomes too strong. He decides to look inside Vincent's memories, and what he sees completely shocks him. In the past, Vincent actually worked for the organization. Then, during an emergency inside a testing facility, Vincent secretly took advantage of the chaos and stole a baby from a testing room. Holding the child tightly in his arms, he escaped the building. The shocking truth quickly becomes clear. That baby was Ian. Back in reality, Ian is completely stunned. At the same time, Vincent collapses unconscious after having his memories invaded, and for the first time, Ian realizes something heartbreaking. Vincent is not his real father. The next day, while Ian is still trapped inside the lab, someone suddenly appears. It is Esther. She quietly tells him it is time to leave. Then comes another huge surprise. Esther reveals that she has secretly been working undercover this whole time. Without wasting a second, she takes Ian toward the elevator to escape. While Ian waits, Esther takes on dozens of guards by herself. Using incredible fighting skills, she easily knocks them out one after another. But before escaping, Ian suddenly stops. Even after learning the truth, he still wants to save Vincent. He tells Esther that Vincent may not be his real father, but the man still knows important information. Meanwhile, Adriana realizes the prisoners are escaping and immediately puts the entire lab on lockdown. Her boss gives a cold order. Ian cannot leave alive. No matter what, they must kill him. At the same time, one of the doctors quietly enters the central security room. Within seconds, he takes down every guard inside, and then comes another shocking reveal. The doctor is actually the preceptor in disguise. Outside, Ian, Esther, and Vincent finally manage to escape using one of the lab vehicles. Even though bullets destroy part of the car, they somehow make it out alive, but their problems are far from over. During the escape, the tires suddenly burst, causing a huge crash. Knowing the preceptor could find them at any moment, Ian quickly uses his powers to make the damaged vehicle invisible. As night falls, the group hides inside a small roadside hotel. The next morning, Ian and Esther finally get some time to talk and understand each other better. That is when Esther reveals another secret. She is actually part of the consciousness organization, and that is exactly why she decided to help Ian. Still confused about everything, Ian uses his powers to enter Vincent's mind once again, but this time, the memories make no sense at all. Everything feels broken and confusing. The only clear thing Ian sees is a person trapped inside a van with an injured hand. Not fully understanding what it means, Ian decides to focus on surviving for now. Later, he uses his powers in a nearby bank. By creating an illusion in the minds of the bank workers, Ian secretly tricks one of the tellers and steals a huge amount of money without anyone noticing a thing. Now that they finally have enough money to survive, Ian and Esther quickly head back to their apartment. But when they arrive, something feels strange. Vincent is gone. Still, the two do not panic too much and think he may have left on his own. Suddenly, Ian hears a vehicle pulling up outside. Immediately sensing danger, he tells Esther to hide inside the bathroom. Without wasting any time, Ian uses his powers to create an illusion around the apartment, making it look abandoned and empty. Just seconds later, someone enters through the door, and it is none other than the preceptor. At first, Ian thinks his trick worked, but the moment the man looks into a mirror, everything changes. The preceptor quickly realizes that he is trapped inside an illusion. Then he calmly explains something important. Ian's powers can change what people see, but reflections in mirrors stay real. Realizing he has been exposed, Ian panics and attacks him immediately, but the preceptor does not fight back at first. Instead, he tries to explain that he is there to help. Still angry and confused, Ian refuses to believe a single word. Soon, the apartment turns into a battlefield. The two begin fighting while constantly switching between illusion and reality. Furniture breaks, attacks fly everywhere, and the fight quickly becomes intense. At one point, the preceptor throws Ian hard against a table. Then he tells him something shocking. He says Adriana's soldiers have not attacked only because he already took care of most of them himself. According to him, he has actually been protecting Ian, but Ian still does not trust him. Desperate, he grabs a taser and tries to attack again. The preceptor easily blocks it. Then, after noticing Esther hiding in the bathroom, he suddenly uses his own psychic powers and enters Ian's mind. Suddenly, Ian sees strange visions. He watches Adriana sending a preceptor to Warsaw. At the same time, someone named Kaminsky is talking about using a special formula on Ian's body. The visions become too much for him to handle. Within moments, Ian collapses unconscious. A little later, Vincent returns and finds Ian lying on the apartment floor. After waking him up, Vincent desperately asks Ian to come home so they can forget all of this and go back to living a normal life together. But Ian has already changed. He refuses to go back. Instead, he becomes determined to travel to Warsaw and uncover the truth. What Ian does not know is that Adriana is already tracking the stolen bank money. She has secretly placed soldiers nearby, waiting for the perfect chance to strike. But before they can even make a move, the preceptor suddenly appears and takes them all out. Soon after, Ian and Esther finally arrive at the place Ian saw in his vision. Inside, Ian discovers an old room where he once played with his mother as a child. Looking around for clues, he notices something strange inside one of the walls. There is a hidden, empty space. Without hesitation, Ian breaks through it with his bare hands. Behind the wall, They discover a secret room filled with old experiment files, but that is not all. Ian also finds a diary belonging to his mother, Ursula. As they read through everything, they discover something shocking. Ian's mother's last name was Kaminsky, which means Ian is actually Kaminsky's grandson. Minutes later, Ian finds even more files about the experiments and excitedly goes to tell Esther, but the moment he enters the room, he freezes. Standing right beside Esther is the preceptor. Calmly, the man tells Ian that he finally has the answers he has been searching for, but Ian still refuses to trust him. Angry, he attacks again using his illusions. The problem is that none of the attacks work. The preceptor seems completely unaffected. Within seconds, he overpowers Ian using his weapon, and then comes the biggest shock of all. The preceptor looks Ian straight in the eyes and reveals the truth. He is not Ian's enemy. He is actually Ian's real father. At first, Ian could hardly believe it. Seeing his confusion, the man decides to tell him the whole story. He explains that many years ago, during the years after World War II in the 1950s, he and Ian's mother volunteered for secret laboratory experiments. At that time, scientists were testing a special formula made from mutant DNA that could give people powerful psychic abilities. After receiving the formula, they became some of the first psychic mutants ever created. But things soon turned dark. During the Cold War, these mutants were secretly used as powerful weapons. However, the organizations behind the experiment slowly became afraid. They started worrying that the same people they created could one day turn against them. Because of this fear, the leaders made a brutal decision. They ordered every mutant created in the labs to be eliminated. One by one, the experiments were destroyed, but one powerful mutant managed to survive. His name was Mule. Unlike the others, Mule was far stronger. When the agency tried to stop him, he suddenly awakened a terrifying new ability, a third power, mind control. This power allowed him to completely control other people's actions and make them obey his commands without question. Using this terrifying ability, Mule wiped out every soldier sent to hunt him down. Then Ian's father reveals another dark secret. To stop mutants from growing stronger, the lab made all the preceptors unable to have children. No one was supposed to start a family, but somehow, against all odds, Ian was born. And because of that, he was seen as a miracle. Ian became the very first natural-born preceptor in the world. Before Ian can even process this shocking truth, danger suddenly arrives. Laboratory soldiers storm the building. Immediately, Ian's father tells him to escape with Esther and head for the roof. Without wasting a second, Ian and Esther run. Meanwhile, Ian's father stays behind to fight. Using both weapons and psychic tricks, he takes down dozens of enemies. At one point, he even creates terrifying illusions of spiders crawling all over the soldiers, causing panic and confusion. At the same time, Esther fights her way through enemy after enemy using her incredible combat skills. Together, they slowly clear a path toward the rooftop. But despite taking down so many enemies, Ian's father is eventually captured by the squad. Up on the roof, Ian and Esther desperately search for a way out. The only escape is a construction pipe hanging down the side of the building. Knowing there is no time left, Esther jumps first. Surprisingly, she lands without getting hurt at all. Seeing this gives Ian courage. He quickly climbs down the pipe and escapes with her before the soldiers can catch them. Back at Adriana's laboratory, things get ugly. The team takes samples from Ian's father and begins painful procedures, trying to force him to reveal everything he knows. But no matter what happens, he refuses to give up Ian. Suddenly, the agency chief walks in and orders everyone to stop. Adriana argues with her boss, saying Ian is now their last hope. Apparently, the original formula for psychic mutants disappeared long ago along with Kaminsky, which means Ian may be the only chance left to recreate it. Meanwhile, Ian's father quietly asks the scientists for a glass of water. Since they do not want to remove his restraining helmet, one scientist uses a small machine to drill a tiny opening so he can drink. At first, it looks harmless, but the moment the robot moves back, everything changes. Ian's father suddenly activates his hidden power. It turns out he also has mind control abilities. In seconds, he mentally takes control of the worker operating the machine. Then chaos breaks loose. Using the security robot's weapon, he forces the employee to shoot everyone inside the room. Bullets fly everywhere. The room turns into complete destruction. After wiping out almost everyone, Ian's father finally breaks free from his restraints. But strangely, he decides to spare the scientist who helped him drink the water. Far away, Ian and Esther finally arrive at the preceptor's house. There, a maid quietly welcomes them and takes them inside. But what Ian sees next completely breaks him. His mother, Ursula, is still alive, but she is trapped in a terrible condition. She cannot even move or speak properly. Heartbroken, Ian tries talking to her, but there is no response. A little later, Ian's father arrives and gently suggests something. He tells Ian to enter Ursula's mind. Outside the house, Adriana's soldiers begin surrounding the entire mansion. They are preparing for one final attack. Inside Ursula's memories, Ian finally learns the truth. His mother had been secretly protecting the formula all along, and she made sure only one person would ever know it, Ian. When he was just a baby, Ursula secretly hid the formula inside his mind. Using the toy blocks Ian used to play with, she created an encrypted memory to safely hide the information for years. Seeing this, Ian's father suddenly enters Ian's mind too. The moment he sees the formula slowly forming through the toy pieces, he becomes desperate and tries to break through Ursula's mental barrier to fully unlock it. Confused and scared, Ian begs him to stop, but it is already too late. Moments later, Ursula loses all her strength. Right in front of Ian, she slowly closes her eyes. The heartbreaking moment completely destroys him. Ian becomes overwhelmed with rage, and finally, something inside him awakens. For the first time, Ian unlocks the terrifying third power, the same dangerous mind control ability, and now filled with rage, Ian decides to make everyone pay for what happened to his mother. He starts walking through the mansion while taking control of the soldiers around him. One by one, they begin turning their weapons against each other. Complete chaos breaks out everywhere. Seeing what is happening, Esther desperately tries to stop Ian before things go too far, but Ian is no longer listening. Blinded by anger, he keeps moving forward and walks outside the mansion. There, he takes control of all the remaining soldiers and forces them to obey him. Just then, Adriana finally arrives at the scene. The moment Ian sees her, his anger grows even stronger. Using his powers, he forces all the soldiers to kneel. Then, in a terrifying moment, he makes them point their guns at their own heads. Desperate, Adriana quickly tries to calm him down. She warns Ian that his real father is only using him for revenge. According to her, the Preceptor only wants Ian's hatred to destroy everyone, but Ian refuses to listen. He says these people deserve to suffer for everything they have done. Suddenly, Vincent appears. Weak but still alive, he begs Ian to stop before it is too late. At the same time, the Preceptor throws Vincent a weapon and orders Ian to make him kneel with the others. In one last effort, Vincent pleads with Ian. He tells him to look around. Revenge will not bring his mother back, and killing so many people will only destroy him too. But the Preceptor grows angry seeing Ian hesitate. Without warning, he uses mind control on Vincent and forces him to turn the gun on himself. Then a gunshot. Ian freezes in horror. Panicking, he quickly breaks the mind control and rushes toward Vincent. At the same time, the Preceptor escapes while taking Esther with him. Before losing his strength, Vincent asks Ian for one final thing. He tells him to look inside his memories one last time, and what Ian sees completely changes everything. Years ago, Ursula herself begged Vincent to take Ian away. The moment she realized the scientists wanted to hurt her son, she asked Vincent to protect him no matter what. Wanting to save Ian, Vincent risked everything and rescued him from the laboratory. Even though Ian was not his real son, Vincent raised him like family. He gave him love, he protected him, and he tried his best to give him a normal life. Finally understanding the truth, Ian completely breaks down. Filled with guilt and heartbreak, he realizes Vincent was never the villain. Now there is only one thing left to do: find the Preceptor. A short time later, Ian tracks him down hiding in a crowded public area. Immediately, Ian uses his powers and forces everyone nearby to lie down on the ground. Then he tries to make the Preceptor turn the weapon on himself, but the man resists. Instead, the Preceptor grabs Esther and holds her at gunpoint. At the same time, he controls dozens of civilians and sends them to attack Ian. The problem is, Ian does not want to hurt innocent people, so he struggles to defend himself while trying to avoid causing damage. But soon, he realizes he cannot survive like this forever. Using nearby objects and his powers, Ian starts fighting back. He tricks civilians into stopping each other and slowly gains control of the fight. Angry and desperate, the Preceptor suddenly controls a huge man and makes him choke Ian. Just when things seem hopeless, Adriana suddenly appears. With one perfect shot, she takes down the attacker. Then she runs toward Ian and tells him something shocking. He needs to wake up because Esther is not real. Ian looks confused, and then comes the biggest twist of the movie. Esther was never actually there. The entire time, she had only been an illusion created by the Preceptor. Ever since Ian escaped the laboratory, Esther had existed only inside his mind. Even during all the fights, Ian had actually been fighting alone. The truth completely shakes him. Heartbroken and angry, Ian finally makes his choice. Without hesitation, he fires at the Preceptor. This time, the bullet hits his chest, and after all the chaos, the Preceptor is finally defeated. But even after learning the truth, Ian cannot let Esther go. He decides to keep her illusion alive, and in one emotional moment, Esther hugs him, giving him comfort after everything he has lost. A few days later, during a memorial ceremony for everyone who died, Adriana gives Ian her contact information. She tells him that if he ever decides to help them in the future, they will be waiting. Later, Ian gets inside his vehicle. There, Esther gives him the birthday gift Vincent had tried to give him earlier. When Ian opens it, he finds a book about oceans. Suddenly, memories of fishing trips with Vincent come rushing back. For a moment, he quietly remembers the man who truly cared for him. But then Ian overhears Adriana talking to her boss. She secretly says that if Ian refuses to join them, they may have to eliminate him. After everything he has been through, Ian is finally tired of people trying to control his life. So for one last time, he uses his powers. This time, to make sure no dangerous organization will ever interfere with him again. And with that, the movie comes to an end. So, what do you think about this movie? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more amazing movie recaps. See you in the next one.